Good day and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm actually going to be covering the Patriotism mission from Caldari story mission. I actually took it on yesterday with a fleet, and honestly, it is brutal. There were a total of 10 ships in the first wave, 30 in the second, and a total of 15 ships in the last wave of the attack. And this is basically going to be my breakdown on how to take on that mission. So, here is the breakdown. First thing you have to know is there are elites, and the elites are packing a punch in this fight. So, you are first going to have to position yourself in such a way that you are not going to be too close to the fleets, because this is enemy fleets and your fleet, right? The enemy is in a fleet of 30, you are in a fleet of 10 at maximum. If you're going to do it solo, it's going to take a great amount of time, and it's in a sector um, without a station. So you can't go to a station, return, go to a station, return, and keep fighting in that manner. So what are the things that you have to worry about? Because of numbers, when they hit you, your shield drops almost 60% with every strike. That means you have 10 seconds to recover 60% of your shield. Without a support class, it is very difficult to do. We lost a total of 3 ships. Two of them were destroyers, and one of them was a cruiser in that fight. So it's not a good idea to take on this mission without having properly prepared. The next thing to know about the mission is the cruisers that pitch up are elite. So you need to have yourself ready to counter an elite attack. And to counter an elite, you need um, a good amount of range, and you need a good amount of defense. So this is how you're going to do it. In your big group of 10 or 20, keep together in a small cluster. The reason why you want to cluster together is so that one cruiser can warp out each time, and when the next one comes back in, he takes in the front part, pulling in the fire from other enemies. And 10 of you firing at once can take out the small enemies instantly. So here's how you're going to structure it. Your fleet is going to consist of 10 members. 2 running support, 2 running full defensive strategy so they can hold off massive amount of damage. 2 running debuffing skills, that is Stasis Web of Fire and the Norse Energy Drain. And that is where you are going to pull yourself, because you want 2 of them to get right in front into the fight and pull that entire damage. Now, obviously, those who are shielding are going to be just as close, and they most probably also going to be using the same debuffs. But that is what you're going to have to do, and this is just to make sure that you can hold the fleet. So that's 6 players in your entire team who are not your primary assault class. Then you are going to have your 4 who are running assault. To run assault on this, you're going to need a long range heavy hitting weapon. That's generally going to be your missiles or something in that same class. So at that point, you are going to have to start firing at that distance while the support class is holding up the shields of those in front and those who are draining everything. Do not auto-focus or auto-lock targets. Allow the fleet leader to determine targets for you. That means you open up your menu, you open up the side where it says fleet ships, and you select the enemy target in the fleet menu and say focus. Once you do it, it will give an option in the fleet menu, and you can all focus on one target. This is going to allow you to concentrate your fire and take out enemies in a strategic manner. That means the one who decides to use a stasis web fire back on you, you can all hit it out so that there's no longer a stasis web fire. And then anybody who's being energy drained, you make sure you take care of all the energy draining enemies immediately. And finally, when you get down to the elites, your tankers are right in front, pulling it down, holding it in place, and you can smash right through its defense, because its hardener will not stop it. Now, the hardener which you get from these drops from the elites is extremely powerful. It's almost 37 power in each respect of hardening. That's enough to strip away one of my missile launchers instantly. So if I'm launching 4 missile launchers, one is totally ineffective against them, and I'm only hitting them for about 50 to 59 each hit. That's because of the amount of deflection that's coming off that shield. Next thing to note is, um, okay, let's see, we spoke about that first part. When the wave is about to end, when you're at your last two, your destroyers in your support class must warp away from the main battle. The whole idea is that they don't get locked by enemies. And then they must focus on the person who they're supposed to be following and warp right in to get close again and start supplying support. Now, support isn't something that a lot of players are running, and I've already said it before, but support is a very important part in the game. And I'm just going to open my warp drive active inventory, sorry. Okay, into my personal assets. Okay, now I am going to go down and I'm going to select the support class the support class items that you should always keep on hand if you are running destroyers or if you're intending to stay as support. Here's the first one. Remote, what's this one here? Small remote capacitor transmitter. Okay, now obviously if this is for a destroyer. Now what you're going to do with this is you are going to make sure that you are transferring the capacitance from your ship into one of your forward facing players. This will actually mitigate the effects of a NOS energy drain. And with there being up to 4 on your leading defense player, it's not something small in terms of gain, it's a massive thing in terms of gain. They can take fire for a much longer period. Okay, now let's go down. The next thing is armor rebuild. If you are running support and you have both of these, that means that you are now capable of rebuilding armor once a player takes massive damage. That means you can allow them to take damage, replenish the shield with the shield regen. I don't think I have one. No, I don't. You can replace the shield with your shield transmission regeneration, and then you can smack right through with a carefully placed attack. Now let's see if I have anything here to show off from the... No, I don't have. Okay. So that is your basics on how you're going to fight this fight. So let's pull it back one step and let's go to using drones. A lot of the players are complaining about the fact that the drones start to glitch out. They refuse to obey commands after they lock onto 2 or 3 enemies and they have to warp out and warp back in just to get their drones moving. So I don't suggest using drone class ships in this battle. Sorry. Okay. So next on the list after the drone class ships. Okay, yes, the reward for the mission is almost 20 million if I'm correct. I think it is exactly 20 million. 20 million ISK for completing that mission. I spent most of it on opening up more research so that I can have a more powerful hit when it comes to attacking enemies. But obviously you can use it in a different manner. You can use it to purchase a new ship. You can use it to save up for the third SP chip so that you can have the fastest SP gain as possible. Or you can use it to buy Plex and save up for the next run of Omega. Yeah, so that was the basics of what I have to say. Okay, next thing to note on that whole fight. Picking up the loot. The loot disappears quite quickly. The support class ships who are in the middle of the fight near the defense war can pick up loot quite easily. Remember, they come in later than everybody else. They jump in once the fight is already started. They lock close to those who are right in the action, taking on the hits, and they make sure they're staying that close. So as the defensive guys push forward, they can actually pull up all the loot and gather it. Now obviously distributing loot isn't the simplest thing. You go into your character menu, you open contracts, and you are going to create a contract and transfer your goods over to your players from your fleet. Now obviously if you're going in a full fleet of 10, it's fair to distribute the rewards as such. If you've got 4 railguns and you've got 2 railgun commanders, or you've got all missile launcher commanders, doesn't make a difference who gets it. You just split it up randomly into the random loot. But based on what role you are playing, you should get that type of loot from the whole mission. And plus, the loot from it is quite expensive when it comes to the drops from the elites. I believe that one of the guys sold one of it for 3 million on the market yesterday. So there was 3 million ISK for a single part from an elite. Okay, so that is the basis of it. When it comes to weapons that they use, it's the full range of weapons. I was hit with missiles, lasers, rockets, everything like that. The speech in the mission isn't all that nice. It's a trip to I don't even know how to pronounce the name of the system, but it's a trip to a system for speech, and then it's a trip to a system for the actual fight. And let me just highlight the mission here quickly. Encounters. Okay, story. Okay, here's it. For Patriotism. This is the mission that I completed. And when I say this is brutal, I mean it is brutal. To lose 2 or 3 ships isn't a joke in a fight, especially when one is a cruiser. And it means that you have to be well prepared and ready to warp drive active, to take on a nice beating when you take on this mission. Okay, and the second part of all of this is going to be how you are defending off all of this heavy hits, because you are going to take hits regardless of whether you're on the front line or the back line. Okay, I've looked at all of these. There's nothing here that's actually so important. Okay, so I showed you which mission I completed, and those are called small missions. As the mission has more prerequisites to get it, it's called big mission. Previously, I think I did make a mistake to say one of them was a T10. It's actually going to be a T9, because some of the missions supposedly only open once you open the higher level tier. That means that it is a T9 mission or a T8 mission. My mistake if I got it wrong as a T10. But that's how difficult it is. But its actual difficulty will be along the level of a T10 encounter. And that's basically what you have to prepare for as you're going in for these missions. But the rewards are absolutely worth it. Everything that you get from them from opening it is absolutely expensive. I also sold 1 or 2 of the items because I don't have any use for it. Should have traded it to another member in the corporation, but that wasn't the way that I did things. Okay, so I have discussed the combat in a story mission. So this is just basically my rattling on it. I wouldn't actually take you through the fight because there's a lot of rage that goes on when you lose ships and things start falling apart, and the messages which are flying up and down, and honestly you don't have time to send a message over the chat in game. If you are going to be sending a message, you have to have a second device with Discord or some other service ready for you to send messages, because being distracted for 2 seconds means losing a ship. Okay, please leave a like, subscribe, or comment down below. If you dislike the video, please leave a comment so I know what I've done wrong. Maybe I can improve it in the future. Thank you for watching.